Turn to page 11 of your iPod. Today we'll be covering lesson 5 from unit 6, and it's titled Steps for Graphing Systems of Inequalities. So a couple of things that I want to remind y'all about. Here, if you look, when we solve for an inequality, remember when you divide by a negative, it makes the inequality flip. Also, I want to remind you about your shading. Remember, these two make you shade above. These two make you shade below. If it has a line underneath, you have a solid line. If there's a sign missing, that means you're going to have a dotted line. So let's go ahead and talk about the first part of this. So I actually want to start here first. So this is just a quick reminder. We move the x, change its sign, divide by the number in front of the y. So the number is -4, so we divided everything by -4. And as I just stated, if you divide by a negative, it has to flip the inequality. So this is why it went from a less than to a greater than. Here again, we move the x, change the sign, divided by the number in front of the y, so the y is +2. So everything got divided by 2. So remember, there's an imaginary 1 right here. So -1 divided by 2 is just -1/2 plus 4. Okay, so now this is the new part. We've done it with one inequality. This time we're doing it with 2. So this is what we're going to say. We're going to say this one's going to go into y1, and this one's going to go into y2. Okay, so if you look on this part, it tells you we're going to put y1, y2. Now this is going to look different for some classes because you don't have the colored calculator, but it's almost the same steps. Okay, so let me clear this. Let me go ahead and clear the memory so that everybody's starting on the same step. And now I'm going to type in these equations. So I'm going to type in y equals, I'm going to alpha y equals enter. Let me get this where you can see it. 3/4 x minus 1. And then in y2, I'm going to type in -1 alpha y equals enter, -1/2 x plus 4. Okay, so as you can see, if I were to just graph it, there are 2 lines. The calculator will do the shading for you. So let's go ahead and go back to the y equals. I just wanted to show you what it would do without changing settings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to where it blinks. I'm going to press enter, and this is where it may be different for some of y'all. I'm going to go ahead and press enter on the line. Actually, this is a greater than, so I need it to shade above, so that's the above. I'm going to press enter, and now I'm going to go to the y2. This is a less than, so I'm going to move this till it shows a less than, so that's shading below. So I'm going to press enter, and now I'm going to graph. Okay, so in this case, our solution would be where it's colored both blue and red. So if you look here, this is our solution. So on here, there's a couple things I want to talk about this graph. So this is y1. Oh, I said y1 and wrote y2. Sorry. So this is y1 and this is y2. So let's talk about hopefully you're noticing something that's incorrect about this. So remember, since it's a greater than and it doesn't have a line underneath, it should be a dashed line. So if you notice, that's perfect. It's dotted, it's shaded above. But if you look at y2, y2 is less than with the line underneath. Well, that needs to be a solid line. So here, if you look, the line is graphed, it's shaded below, but the line's dotted. So that's the issue that we have here. So you need to make sure that this is actually changed to a solid line. So hopefully you noticed it. If you didn't, that's okay. You will. So just to summarize kind of what we talked about, the main difference with systems of inequalities versus systems of equations is systems of inequalities have shading and you can have multiple answers, meaning you could have 50 points. There's numerous points in here that would work. Whereas systems of systems of equation, you only have 3 possible answers. You have your no solution, your infinitely many solutions, or your one where it intersects. So here it does intersect, but it's not necessarily a solution because this is a dotted line. This one's solid. So hopefully this makes a little bit of sense. For my Lamarck people, I will have tutorials tomorrow. For my Texas City people, you'll have to talk to your teacher about when tutorials are. Remember that grades are due this week for progress reports, so make sure that you've taken care of business. For my Lamarck people, I will be doing a grade check for your composition book, so make sure pages 1 through 13 are up to date. Y'all have a great day.